it might sound big money, but in terms of execution of road projects, it cannot go far. To that extent, we are not getting enough to embark upon road construction in Ghana as we all expect to see and to have. But I can tell you, and I can say it on authority, that on comparative basis, because His Excellency the President, even declared 2020 as year of roads, because he has said many times that wherever he went, the first demand that was made on him by chiefs and good people of this country is the improvement of their roads. I have, on comparative basis, had better treatment than even my colleagues in other ministries or other sectors. But that does not mean that we are getting enough, because I have already laid the foundation that road construction is capital intensive. For instance, I can give you a few statistics. A kilometer of an asphalt overlay is about 1.5 million. It costs about 1.5 million.
Chairman,
0.25.
Sorry, Minister, $1.5 million of cedi for our record.
No, Ghana cedis, and in dollars, 0.25. If you take double dressing road, depending upon the ground condition, it costs between 3.5 to 5 million Ghana cedis. And in terms of dollars, about 600 to 800 United States dollars. If it's a reselling,
Chairman, I beg you, Minister Designate, we're interested in these numbers. If you can just repeat it for our record. 1 kilometer of asphalt road with your description. Just share the numbers with us, Minister. Whether in dollars or cedis, just give us the numbers with the description.
Asphalt?
Yes.
Yeah, if I say, asphalt is an overlay. We have, if we talk about surface dressing, it means we are talking about bitumen, what in our local parlance we call it quota. We have the surface dressing, we have asphalt overlay, and then we have concrete roads. So these are the three categories that we have. So I was giving these figures to demonstrate how expensive it is to construct even a kilometer of road. So the sector requires a lot of funds to do a lot of our roads in the country, and that is why government was making great efforts. And one of such unprecedented great effort was the Sun Hydro project, which we have, which brought in $2 billion United States dollars to do road construction.
I come back again. We just want to find out from Minister Designate, what is the cost of 1 kilometer of asphalt, whether in Ghana cedis or in dollars? As you are leading us through, we just needed the numbers for our purposes. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I will do that because I have the sheet here. Thank you.
Chairman, just with your leave, sir, Mr. Chair. Yeah, the nominee was talking about interchange. Interchange. You were talking about interchange. When you were talking about 6 additional 2 and all that. Are you able to enlighten us a bit on this tier 4 interchange specifically, whether you made some savings as a result of renegotiation of the terms of those contracts?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, yes, I have indicated that we are currently constructing 6 interchanges in Ghana simultaneously, and one of them is the KWASI interchange, which is a 4-tier interchange. The original design was a 3-tier, and is being funded by African Development Bank. But in the course of the construction, a lot of work was done, and it even in some instances led to redesigning certain aspects, to make it more efficient. And once you do that, obviously, you make some savings. And through that, we were able to add additional tier. That's how come we have the 4-tier interchange in Ghana. And is the first again of its kind in West Africa. And the whole of Africa is the second of its kind. The first one was constructed in 1973 in South Africa at Durban, and is called Ibi Krote Interchange.
Chairman, the emphasis is on the costs that initially was, and then the current costs with all these additions.
Nothing, any change in cost, and that is the advantage because of what was done. Because of what was done, we were able to use same amount to get a 4-tier interchange instead of a 3-tier. So if you talk about savings, yes, you are right. If a project which had already been costing had been done, the facility had been given, it was to give a 3-tier interchange. So if it has been improved to give you another tier at same cost, it's time to reason, that you have better, utilize the amount, and it can only be done, through savings, because nothing comes free. I mean, a whole tier, could not have come for free. So if we have been able to use same amount to get a more improved project, is laudable, and we must all be happy as Ghanaians. We have had a better and improved infrastructure piece, and we must say kudos to governments, for doing that. Thank you very much. So,
yeah, so
No, Chairman, Mike.
Oh, he said he will table the document. That's not what he said.
He said he'll read it. He's reading it actually.
Honorable Minister, he asked you a question on the cost of asphalting, the kilometer or so. What was your answer? I bet you said you have the document, you table it. Did I get it right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I have the statistics here, and as you directed, I will make it available.
Kindly table it so members can look at it if they want to ask questions.
No, Chairman, actually, that was, Minister Designate was already reading it, so we just need it for our record. But he can make it available, but if you can just share it for us, what the cost.
If you want to quote from it, please do so. What is it that
You can quote a few, then lay the document. The cost of asphalt, 1 kilometer, whether in cedis or dollars.
I have the figures in cedis and in dollars.
You said 1.5 million cedis per kilometer.
Honorable, you are not.
No. I wrote something. I just want to be sure.
No, let Minister speak.
Honorable sir, kindly repeat what he said.
Mr. Chairman, I have said, and I have given the figures, and I have said that I have it here, and I will make the.
Kindly repeat the figures.
I said 1.5 million Ghana cedis. And then
1.5 million Ghana cedis for
a kilometer of.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Asphalt, okay.
Complete over. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm told I have only 2 questions. I believe it also comes with supplementary questions, so making it 4 questions.
Supplementary should be subsequent to an answer. So you haven't had an answer, how do you determine supplementary? Just ask the question.
Yeah, Chairman, because of the limitations, my preamble will be with. Now, urban roads, big cities like Accra, KWASI, Takoradi, even Tamale, and others. When you are flying into Accra, apart from the major roads, you will see that all the roads in the neighborhoods are all, I mean, most of it, 95% of them are not done. The same with KWASI, the same with Takoradi and other places. In areas where, let's say, a real estate developer is developing, they construct the whole area, including roads. Then they share the cost among the owners of the properties within the estates. And then it appreciates the value of the estates. Now, outside the estates, people build and the roads are not done. Then the roads ministry comes to do the roads. Then the value of properties there appreciate. So it's like what? A gift to those people living in those neighborhoods. Now, in view of funding constraints to the road sector and the competing need to put money in rural communities, to the farm gate, to the other regions, have you considered innovating around the financing of urban roads by building into property rates and like the tolling system that you have for the roads, fuel levy and etc. Are you considering working with assemblies, metropolitan assemblies and etc. so that you build the cost of roads in the neighborhood into property rates and have a financing arrangement that enable the quick construction of those roads, and then property rates come in to pay over a period of time? I mean, is that something that you want to think through?
I thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, it's an idea, and would perhaps even describe it as a brilliant idea, provided all of us, Ghanaians, as a people, would accept it. This is something that must be thrown out for national debate, for all of us to agree to do. I'm saying so because, as you rightly said, estate developers are responsible for the internal rules of their estates. And during their pricing and costing, I believe they take into consideration the cost of road construction. That is why some of the houses even tend not to be affordable, because road construction is expensive. So if you share the cost of road construction pro rata on the number of houses that you want to build and the area that you have to work on, you can significantly increase the cost of the individual houses. But what we do, and which we have responsibility to do, and that is the work of urban roads. They have jurisdiction over all arterial roads in the country. So we work on the arterial roads and the collector roads and roads that lead to settled areas. So again, I would say that is a good idea if we throw it out there for national debate and is accepted by all of us as a people, for the city authorities to take it up. Then, at the end of the day, it will be good for us, so that tomorrow, if the city authorities send you your annual property rate and the amount is so high, all of us would have voluntarily accepted it, and it will help us. So it's something that can be given a try, and we can take it up going forward. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Supplementary. So are you looking at setting up a working committee or working group to look at the economics of it, the financing of it, the implementation, the communication strategy and everything, so that, because just say, if we have a national debate, that has to be facilitated, that has to be, organized. And, the economics of it has to be analyzed by financial experts to see whether this is something that as a country we should, are you willing to follow up on that beyond just saying, let's put it up to a national debate?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, like I said, it's worth considering. And if I am given the approval, eventually by this August committee and eventually the Honorable House, is something that we can explore, and such ideas will be worth entertaining. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
My second question relates to the implementation of the Road Traffic Act. And I think you are the minister responsible for implementing the Road Traffic Act. Road Traffic Act. You are the minister responsible for implementing the Road Traffic Act. Because I see from your handover notes that you are responsible for the Road Traffic Act. The Upper East region, in the last couple of months, major accidents resulting in numerous deaths. Last time, there were 17 people who died from around Zebila, Boku, Garu, Timpani constituencies. And then the week or two before, similar accidents, major accidents, lives lost. It seems that you are not paying attention to the implementation of all the provisions in the Road Traffic Act to ensure safety on our roads, in particular the long distance vehicles and the requirements that the drivers must be 2 for long distance vehicles. Why are you not paying attention to the Road Traffic Act? What will you do, assuming that you become the minister, to assure us that we won't be seeing such gory accidents with many deaths?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, if you take the Ghana Highway Authority Act 540, my ministry is responsible for traffic lights in the cities. The highway lighting system is not in my ministry, it's with the Ministry of Energy. For instance, if you see what is going on Tema motorway now, is being lighted now. They haven't completed the entire stretch. It's not being done by my ministry. My ministry, through Department of Urban Roads, is responsible for restoration and efficient working of traffic lights. And we give great attention to that. And that is, as I said a short while ago, the essence of the Accra Intelligent Traffic Management System. And this will be replicated in all the regions, particularly the cities and the regional capitals. Just at the close of last year, and I'm happy that, Mr. Chairman, this question is coming from Honorable Ayariga, because it was in his own region, Bogatanga. In December, we switched on about 5 or so different traffic lights at different intersections to improve safety. And if we talk about safety on the road, as much as lighting is important, there are other equally important road furniture that have to be provided. Even road line marking is so significant that if we want to talk about safety, and that's why my ministry works closely with my brother, Honorable Kweku Esiama, Minister for Transport, and then the Road Safety Authority. We work together because we have to do a whole lot of things, and the provision of the safety road infrastructure in terms of furniture are to be provided by my ministry, whilst transport, through Road Safety Authority, carries out the education. So we have to provide street lighting, road line marking, road signs, and in certain instances, crash barriers, and so on. The only challenge there, and it's also an area we have to look at holistically as a nation. You put up crash barrier today, and tomorrow is gone. You put up road sign today, tomorrow is gone. Even bridges that we build, people go and remove all the bolts and nuts. So it's an area that we must address, all of us, and through the security agencies. So safety is important, and at times some of these accidents are needless. And one accident, as we experienced last year and the year before, Kintampo, one accident claimed over 50 lives. In Central Region last year, almost equal number. Is unacceptable. And apart from the safety measures being provided, it is key and time is running out, if not already run out for us, as a country, that we still maintain
enough on the road infrastructure
we still maintain
and probably
single
vehicle
roads.
infrastructure leading to accidents on the highways. But I think the major challenge you have is the driver, the human part, the person sitting behind the wheel. By law, the road safety regulations, no driver should drive continuously for more than 4 hours. So going by this law, each of those buses should have at least 2 drivers. The Ministry of Transport, I don't know whether it's you or Ministry of Transport who is responsible, but I do think it is time to enforce these regulations to ensure safety on the highways in particular.
Mr. Chairman, that is true, and thank you very much. I believe, this is an area that you are well vexed, and there are also a number of reasons if you want to go on. Maintenance of vehicles, bad tires, and all. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. It's also an important contribution.
Yes, General Member Claude. Is it Yendi?
Thank you very much, Mr.
Your
Chairman.
consent is
Bushegu.
Bushegu. All right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My heart was filled with joy when Honorable Patrick Bama made reference to the Eastern Corridor Road. A significant part of the Eastern Corridor Road passes through my constituency, terminates all the way in Akpanduri. So I was happy that you said that attention will be given to it. But my question is on, just following up on Honorable Agariga's question, the financing mechanism for road construction. I think that we have to consider using municipal bonds instead of general obligation bonds, so that the receivables would go to immediately amortize the bonds and also finance the maintenance of those roads. So, for instance, KWASI dualization, tolling doesn't go to any other coffers, but immediately to go and amortize that particular bond. Are you considering having specific bonds and not general obligation bonds for road construction?
I thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I should address your question, they are in twofold. You mentioned the Eastern Corridor. I can comment on it briefly, and then come to the financing aspects. Yes, Eastern Corridor is being given great attention by government, and as we speak now, a lot of work is going on. This is a corridor which is very important and key to the economic development of our country. And Eastern Corridor starts from Tema, roundabout, through Volta region and all the region and the constituencies you spoke about in the districts up to Kulungugu in the north. It's important for various reasons. That stretch, totaling about 695 kilometers, passes through food basket areas, and traveling from the south to the north through the Central Corridor. And the Central Corridor road of our country is from Accra through Kumasi, Tamale, say to Pala. So if you want to travel from the south to the north, going by Central Corridor and going by Eastern Corridor, the latter is shorter by almost 100 kilometers than the former. So it makes economic sense, and particularly as it starts from Tema, the country's major seaport. You know that we service all our landlocked countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, they all take their cargo from Tema. So it makes a lot of sense to develop that stretch of road. And I am happy to announce that the government has attached great importance to it. At the moment, there are 7 different contractors working on that road. And by the end of the year, major parts of that road would have been completed. We are only left with the stretch between Buntri and Kolungugu. That's the last stretch that we have to put a contractor on. And the entire 695 kilometers would have been worked on simultaneously. Talking about funding,
Always, I think, is enough.
talking about the funding,
enough.
that's the second part, Mr. Chairman. He asked, his question was in 2 parts. The funding, I want to briefly comment on it. Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, I will just make a brief comment on that. I agree with the tone, but it's not being attractive, even if you want to adopt a PPP system, private-public partnership system, because of the low toll rates we have in our country.
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. You have indicated to me that I'm restricted to 2 persons. As some supplementary, should there be any? Thank you very much for that opportunity. Honorable nominee, your ministry handled one of the priority programs called His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo's Plan for Agricultural Growth, which was to cost this nation 500 million Ghana cedis. What is the status of the plan? And how much of this 500 million Ghana cedis have been expended so far? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I want to know whether you are talking about agricultural roads, cocoa roads. His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo's Plan for Agricultural Roads. That's the name of the priority program. Or you have no idea? No, I have an idea. That's why I want to know that, planting for food and jobs is a flagship policy of government. And if you have such a policy, and of course, agri production is in the rural areas, it stands to reason that you develop roads that lead to farm gates. So we are developing roads into agricultural areas, parts of which are cocoa roads, and at the moment, almost 213 cocoa projects are going on in the country, and we also have the TSIP project, and it's being run mainly in the northern areas into agricultural areas. So it's ongoing, and government is determined to improve the rural roads, to ensure that we give priority to agricultural areas for the support of that flagship policy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Nominee, I think I asked of a very specific question. The status of the plan, because it's a plan. So what is the status of that plan? and an amount of money was earmarked, 500 million Ghana cedis was earmarked for that plan. So how much, the status of the plan, and how much of that money has been expended? This is the information I'm asking. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know the planting for food and jobs, the policy is under Ministry of Agriculture. But when it comes to roads, we work together. It's an ongoing project. The plan is there. We sit down, work together, whether cocoa growing areas or, for that matter, any agricultural farm gains. We work. It's an ongoing thing. We have not sat down for me to tell that so much has been spent, but I know it's a program, it's a course, and it will be intensified to make sure that that policy is achieved. I thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Nominee, I ask this question because when you look at the 2018 budget, paragraph 184, we have a list of priority programs. Number 9 is a program titled His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo's Plan for Agricultural Roads under the Ministry of Roads and Highways. And the total allocation provided here is 500 million Ghana cedis. So I thought that you are in absolute control over that plan. And therefore you'll be in a position to share with the committee where you have gotten to in respect of this plan. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, you are right. Once it touches on roads, it will be put under my ministry. But for instance, with ongoing health facilities being established, I work closely with my colleague health minister, to provide road facilities to wherever hospitals are being built. Even the flagship policy of one district, one factory, you come to my ministry and my colleague minister, Honorable Alan Chematin, has to furnish my ministry with roads and areas where they intend establishing factories. Then we will go in and work on. So because of this ministerial collaboration, we work together. So you may find the budget with my ministry. It's not something that I can work in isolation. I have to cooperate with my colleague ministers and get it done and sorted out. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Respectfully, Honorable Nominee, if you paid attention to the question from Honorable Erikopuku regarding the 2018 provision, the 500 million for road, that flagship initiative, that was going to zoom in on road construction. From your answer, it appears that what was stated in the budget and the actual work don't seem to be on the same wavelength. Now, would you say that as part of the challenges, government's decision to spend 22 billion for the payment of lost Ghanaians accounted for the inability to actualize that plan? Because in real terms, government has publicly indicated that it has spent 22 billion cedis to pay people who lost their investments. You have this morning also taken us through that overlay, asphalt overlay, cost 1.5 million cedis.
Okay. So I want to ask, what's the response you gave to Honorable Eric Opoko in respect of the 500 million meant for road works has not been actualized? Would you relate that to the government effort in resolving this financial sector crisis as one of the factors that contributed to government's ability to deal with this as provided for in the 2018 budget?
Well, I thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the way I understand that question is, is like referring to that amount in terms of opportunity cost. That if that amount had not been expended on the way it was done and had been given to my ministry, we could have done a lot more work in terms of road. Mr. Chairman, that one is obvious. I was indicated that road construction is capital intensive. The more money we get, the more roads we can construct. So wherever the money comes from, the opportunity cost of it, if it had been to my ministry, we would have done a lot more work with that. And it may not be only that specifically. Any amount of money originally meant for a project anywhere, if it were channeled through my ministry to build roads, then the country would have seen more improved roads, and all my colleague, honorable members of parliament would have been happier, because all of us know what we go through for our constituents and the pressure on us for roads. So the more money we get, the more money we get, the more roads that can be constructed. So that one, I agree with you in terms of opportunity cost of the money.
So, Honorable Nominee, do you have any plan in your ministry called His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo's plan for agricultural roads? Do you have that plan?
So why have you been asking him? You said...
It's because of the intervention of the majority leader. I wanted to move to the second question, but he intervened.
You mean after 3 questions, you are going to the second question?
I was going to the second question, and then he intervened. That necessitated another supplementary.
You have asked him about a plan he has asked you. Now you're asking him whether he has a plan. That's my problem with your question.
That's Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I asked the supplementary question just because of the intervention of the Honorable Deputy Majority Leader. But once you direct, I will comply. Honorable Nominee, you just indicated to the committee that a kilometer of asphalt road costs 1.5 million Ghana cedis. 1.5 million Ghana cedis. I recall that the Charismatic Bishop Conference made a proposal to His Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, on concrete roads. And when he had the opportunity to address that issue, when he attended a Good Friday service at the Lighthouse Chapel at the Independence Square, he stated emphatically that he discussed that proposal with His Excellency the President. And the President tasked your ministry, the Ministry of Roads, to do comparative analysis and costing on concrete roads and asphalt roads. And the cost that came out was that 1 kilometer of concrete roads cost $3.8 million. And 1 kilometer of asphalt road cost $2.8 million. But because concrete roads will last for 40 years, it is prudent for government to opt for concrete roads. Today you sit before this committee
alluding to the fact that a kilometer of asphalt road costs 1.5 million Ghana cedis. Which of the two is accurate? It's a bit confusing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I should not be taken out of context. Perhaps I should throw more light on road construction. As a principle, perhaps one area that, to a very large extent, one can talk about uniformity in pricing is in the area of asphalt concreting, because it is an overlay. And even the 1.5 I gave is the minimum, because it depends upon the thickness of the overlay. You may get different level of thickness of asphalt overlay, because you have to take into consideration where the overlay is being applied, the vehicular movement there, the vehicular population there. Is it a busy area? Which type of trucks are going to use the area road? You are talking about concrete roads, and you even mentioned 3 point something million. Asphalt concrete roads could cost as much as the range, depending upon the road condition, in terms of cities, between 7.2 to 8.4 million Ghana cedis. The same asphalt concrete road. No. And as I said, I have the table here. But ordinarily, in residential areas, particularly in areas that does not have a number of thoroughfare roads, cul-de-sac ends that you don't get vehicles, passing through. The thickness of the asphalt, is very